Business Channel. This is Mediaweek.
Hello, welcome to the program. Ahead, the latest video-on-demand streaming ventures, quarterly results from News Corp and 21st Century Fox, plus the highlights from Foxtel's Upfront event, unveiling the 2015 program lineup. But first, Ten has acknowledged reports that it's a takeover target and has appointed Citigroup as a strategic advisor. It comes after a media report that US cable TV company Discovery and Foxtel are weighing up a joint bid for Ten. Let's get some more on this. Our co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Mediaweek, is here. So it seems Ten is in play.
It's certainly gathering some momentum, hasn't it? It's been a lot of talk through the last couple of years about what was the end game for 10B, but it really seems now as if the company, or certainly some of the shareholders, have decided, look, we really need to investigate where we're going. There's been talk of private equity being involved. That was Providence Capital. Fairfax were believed to have been in some talks, although they won't give any sort of guidance as to who they're talking to, apart from Roger Corbett saying today, I think at the AGM, look, there's always talks going on about potential partners. And Discovery is the latest one. Discovery looks really good, potential partner. They've got into the free-to-air space in the UK. They've bought some subscription TV assets in New Zealand recently. So they're definitely in the acquisition mode in different parts of the world, and they've got plenty of content that would suit a free-to-air broadcaster too, of course.
Foxtel, of course, half owned by News Corp and Telstra. How would this work then, given that the competition regulator has expressed concerns about Foxtel?
Yeah, well, there seemed to be an understanding that if Foxtel had less than 15% interest in Ten, if they get involved, that would pass the regulator. A shareholding any higher than that, and it could run foul of competition laws.
Okay, and just on this, as you said, it seems to be gathering steam. Some of the reports in Fairfax today talking about, preliminary bids by the end of the month.
Some sort of deadline at the end of the month. So, that would really move things along quickly, wouldn't it? And we could see something happening there. So, share price been under a lot of pressure lately, and just how they would acquire it too is yet to be detailed.
Of course, and those major, billionaire shareholders there, of course, on the Ten board. Just in terms of Fairfax as well, holding the AGM today, and Roger Corbett there, aside from the fact talking about revenues down in the FY15 so far this year to date, but also asked about merger or acquisition opportunities. Not much of a comment, though.
No, he wouldn't. It's possibly his last AGM if he signalled that, look, he could step down. If they can find somebody to take his spot, you think that would probably happen within the next 12 months. And talking about some of the revenue figures were quite good. I think Domain was up a little bit in the start of this year, but still some trouble spots. Metro advertising down a little bit. Some of the regional, which they're about to reshape significantly, that was also down a little bit.
All right. Just turning to rival News Corp, and it's posted better than expected earnings and revenue in its first quarter results. And the CEO, Robert Thompson, pointing to a turnaround at the Australian papers.
The advertising headwinds in Australia have dissipated. So results for our businesses there showed real and hard-won improvement in revenues and in EBITDA. The green shoots appear to have taken root. But we will continue to invest in our sales teams and cherish our unique content. The team under Julian Clark have done a sterling job in retooling the business, and I think partly the improvement in trading conditions is in large part due to their focus again on local advertising. The team is dedicated in its pursuit of clients and its servicing of clients. And so that has absolutely contributed to the improvement we're seeing there. And in a sense, what you've got in Australia now, if you wanted to typify it topographically, is that the Murray River had silted up, and that river is now flowing again.
Just on the News Corp results, firstly, what did you think?
Yeah, it was sort of good news, wasn't it? I think pretty much the Australian revenues were pretty much flat, I think, in general, but that's a great result after the bit of a drop the last quarter. Interesting to hear Robert Thompson talking about the pillars of the business now and grouping in their book publishing and real estate, which is, and he talked a little bit as well about these, significantly diversifying the revenue streams. So the book publishing, of course, HarperCollins doing very well. They acquired Harlequin, which is sort of really boosted their numbers in the book publishing side. Their real estate REA Group, of course, and the acquisition of Move impending in the US. So they're really spreading their load across.
And just, I guess, sister company, you call it 21st Century Fox, also the results there. What did you think? Yeah,
it's following a trend we've seen for a little while. Cable TV good, films really booming, but the trouble spot there is the free-to-air TV in the US, particularly the Fox network, under a bit of pressure, ratings pressure there. They haven't got any real hits at the moment.
All right, let's get the investor, the market reaction to some of that news. We're joined by Evan Lucas from IG in Melbourne. Evan, great to see you as always. Yeah, just firstly on the 10 takeover talk, what's been the reaction?
Reaction has been very, very positive initially, Bridie. Having a look at what happened, it moved up around about 10.5%. Now, we do know that there's obviously takeover bids around. We do know, obviously, that there is also huge speculation around about how that type will go, whether it's a full takeover, if it's a joint venture and what have you. So, considering that 10 had fallen all the way down to 19 cents, it's currently up to around about 23.5 cents. You know, that kind of move is expected, and you'd want to see it moving up even further. It will continue to support the share price the more and more we hear about it. They do need some form of change to that. So it was taken positively. However, it has eased off. So it's come back quite substantially, around about 5%, and dropped to around about 6.5% up on the day. So interesting there that some people are maybe looking at this being a long, drawn-out process, and also the fact that Hamish McLennan has said that maybe no deal will come to the table. So just be aware of that. There is some part of the market that's just a little bit concerned if it will actually happen at all.
And just on to the results through from News Corp 21st Century Fox, what did you think?
21st Century Fox, as James just alluded to, was very strong in the areas they've been doing very well in, cable TV and also in box office. Yes, we've got revenue issues at Foxtel, at Fox over there, but the share price reaction was very, very strong. After market, they traded up around about 4.5% in the US, so that's one to watch. It certainly looks like they are growing. EPS growth was good, and top-line revenue was also pretty strong from what the market saw. So Fox was good. News Corp here in Australia did incredibly well. It's actually almost outpacing what's happened in 10. It was up around about 7% on the day, fell down to about 6%, but it's very, very powerful in the fact that diversification of its revenue stream. However, remembering that still 70 to 78% of what they do comes from that publishing arm, and that continues to slow, not as much, and that's probably why it was championed to be a better result than probably forecasted.
Evan, really appreciate that as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Bridie.
And let's return to our co-host, Mediaweek's James Manning, for more media news. Interesting, because we're talking about Foxtel potentially being in a tie-up there for a bid for 10, but also reports this week as well that Foxtel and Seven West Media could be talking about a new streaming joint venture.
Yeah, outside of Presto, perhaps. Yeah. I think we'll hear a little bit on that from Richard Freudenstein later in the show when we speak to him. Yeah, but interesting what's going on there. Still no movement, and we're not expecting, I don't think we're expecting anything maybe too soon on that. But we got a lot of news this week about what Nine and Fairfax are up to.
Yeah, and a new name, of course, or the name for their streaming joint venture.
So Stan, I think it surprised a few people, the name, but once you get over that, it's probably not that important, the name. It's what your offer is to the consumer. And we heard a lot about this week. Not a lot about content, but they're going to sort of drip feed that to the market between now and the launch in February. But a good peek at their business model. They've calculated there's about 5.5 million homes in Australia that have the potential to take the new service. They call it Stan. And of those, they think they could probably get 1.5 million of them. So at about $10 a month, that builds a pretty significant business, about $180 million annual revenues. They won't get that straight away, of course, but they're targeting maybe 4 or 5 years till they get to that plateau.
So much competition.
Look, absolutely, yeah. It's you've got to think, it's a big ask because they've gone out to consumers and they've obviously been given the full sell how good the service will be, and they've seemed to have convinced a lot of them. Yeah, look, they would pay that money, but having someone saying what they intend to do, then when they actually do it, is quite a different thing. And you could probably ask Foxtel about that. How hard it is to get up there. But they're really confident. They're cautious about Netflix's impending arrival in the market, and they think, look, Netflix has to be respected, but they think they can match it. Their sell will be an Australian company, but with access to international content, where they think they'll probably, I don't know if they'll paint it, but Netflix will be seen as, a US operation setting up here, and if people have the choice, they might decide to go with the Aussie own.
Yeah, and obviously talking there about Foxtel, obviously in this space already. What did you make? They held their upfront, of course, unveiling all their 2015 program lineup to media buyers and advertisers.
Yeah, look, there's been so many announcements from Foxtel, haven't we? We heard a lot about it at the Astra conference. Probably over a month ago now, when they detailed the price cuts and some of the content. Then we got some more of the content, and a couple of significant things are the deals with the free-to-air networks. You know, the buying a place to call home off Seven, doing almost a JV with Network 10 in Gogglebox, so they'll each have rights to that series. So very interesting, and lots of Aussie content. Spending up big on drama, but and another key offering is the returning US dramas, all their big shows, you know, like Game of Thrones, stuff like that, which they think is really key to their offer.
And launching that new pricing packages that pricing, this week as well.
Yeah, the box sets, the sort of new their in-depth catalogue. It's almost it's an easy way into the catch-up now, if you like. And then Fox Sports has got a massive 2015 with some of their content coming up.
Yeah, and of course, James, you caught up with Richard Friedenstein at the Foxtel Upfront event in the past week and began by asking about the content deal done with HBO.
We've done a very exciting new deal with HBO, so we've extended our HBO deal for a long, long time into the future, and got a lot more rights on different platforms, and for our box set service and for our Presto service in the future as well. So it's great to have a really close relationship with HBO. I mean, there's talk in the US they might do something by themselves. In this market, they're very much committed to being part of the Foxtel family, which is really exciting. The other thing I'm going to talk about tonight, which I'm getting more and more excited about, is the box set service. You know, the service that allows you to watch all the old series on demand anytime you want. And we're going to launch that with over 20 shows, including Game of Thrones, Boardwalk Empire, True Blood, Dexter, Sopranos. So you can go back and watch all the old Sopranos you've never seen before. And it's really interesting. I got the team to calculate what it would cost if you went and bought our box set service on iTunes or by DVD. And just what we're launching in November alone would cost you over $1,600 on iTunes. So the value we're giving to our existing customers is just so exciting.
So yeah, you mentioned HBO, you would have been watching with interest what they're doing in the US with that direct-to-consumer, but as you say, not working in this market for them. What else is happening in that streaming space? I mean, a bit of speculation, you might have been talking to Seven about coming on board with Presto. Can you give us any updates there?
Look, all I can say on that at the moment is Presto Movies is going well. We will look at doing a TV service at some stage in the future. We're not making any announcements about that now. It's going to be a very competitive space. I mean, people are saying that Netflix will be coming next year, and obviously there's another group that are doing something as well. So I think there will be a lot of competition in that space.
Foxtel customers love their IQ, Richard. A lot of anticipation about IQ3. I think I've asked you this a couple of times before, but I'll try it again. It's such a big upgrade, I guess. You want to make sure it's all working perfectly. Where are we?
It is such an exciting set-top box. It looks amazing. The user interface is just fantastic, and we're in final testing stage now. You're right. We want to make sure that before we launch this to the public, it is absolutely perfect. So we're just ironing out the last bugs. I'm going to show a demonstration of it today, but we're not going to talk about a launch date today. But it's got some amazing features. The one I love the most, which really I love, is when you change channels and you come into a show 10 minutes late, or with IQ3, you can press one button, start over, back to the beginning of the show. It's a great feature.
And the triple play, the broadband telephony and your Foxtel on the one bill, the one charge. Should we see that in 2015?
Absolutely see it in early 2015. We've progressed really well on our build for that. All our systems are in place, our staff are trained. We're now doing a fairly comprehensive user trial because we think it's really important that we get, again, the customer experience exactly right on triple play, but we are going to launch that early next year.
And just give us an update on those announcements from the Astra conference. Yeah, pretty aggressive on the pricing for the service. What's your marketing people telling you about the response from customers to that?
Well, the advertising launches on Sunday. So it starts being available on Monday. So the research, and we've researched the advertising as well as doing all the research before, is really positive about what it will do for subscriber growth. So we're all now ready. We've hired all the additional staff. We've got the ads ready to go, and this is the phase just before we launch. So we'll see you next week.
Were you able to get the ads on all your free-to-air colleagues? Were there any problems there?
Absolutely. They're happy to be involved. Yeah.
Coming up on Media Week, we'll bring you James's interview with Foxtel's TV boss Brian Walsh about the content coming in 2015.